What's up, everybody? It's Shawn and Andrew from Paris.
Welcome back to Couple Things.
I feel like I don't sound great, but hopefully I'm getting better. We all got hit with a cold.
You might not sound great, but let me tell you, you look great.
No,
you
I don't.
Look great.
But thanks.
You look...
I look like I got hit by a bus.
That is not true.
Yeah.
Shawn has gone through the gauntlet. Okay, we want to do a special episode before we dig into all the fine nuances because...
What? We do?
What?
What?
This is a special episode. And we want to...
What's so special?
That we're in Paris and
Before
we're not
we
in our normal studio. I was going to say, before we get into the nitty-gritty details of what your last 2 weeks have looked like here in Paris.
Yeah.
We are in Paris. We've been here for a while.
Yeah.
This is our little villa, and it's been delightful. It's been a lot of adventure. It's been a lot of chaos, and it's been a lot of fun.
It has been a lot of fun. It has been massive core memories, start to finish, because we started in London.
Should we just take it to the very beginning?
Yes.
Let's rewind the clock to Wednesday, July 25th.
I don't know what day it is.
We left Nashville at 9 p.m. on
Tuesday
Wednesday
night. Tuesday night.
Okay. I believe you.
Yeah, it was
Great.
a Tuesday.
Great.
We got the kids all packed up. We had so many bags.
I think we had 8 check bags. And
2 strollers, a pack and play. Because we're gone for 4 weeks. 4.5 weeks?
3 weeks in Europe, and then Shawn has a bunch of media stuff in New York City. So it's like 4 weeks total. And so, because our 2 months leading up to this and the month after is insane, you might be asking, why did we bring the kids?
Yes.
So let's start there.
Okay. So back in 2016, I worked with Yahoo Sports as an on-site analyst covering gymnastics. Then, fast forward, I was going to go to Tokyo and be an analyst for them as well, but COVID happened. And then 2021, I was supposed to go as well, but then we had Jet, which was amazing. The greatest gift ever.
And by the way, Shawn, the work she does with Yahoo, doing all these debriefs of the competition, does such a good job.
Thank you. It's so much fun.
I love listening, because you never talk about gymnastics, hardly ever.
Yeah.
But go on.
It's a lot of fun. I absolutely adore the team. I love working with them, but we got offered to come back and do the analytical work again, and I was like, absolutely. We just have to figure out the logistics. So, something else that Andrew has gotten to experience firsthand is, on top of working as an analyst, as a retired Olympian, there are so many things that go on during the Olympics. Sponsor events, donor events, charity events, alumni things, viewing parties, paid opportunities, things to work at, things to give speeches for.
Then there's a bunch of friends in town to come watch it, and so it's like hosting them, coordinating meetups.
I haven't seen in 8 years.
And then you layer on top of that you're in a new city, you probably want to see some sights, so then it's like doing tourist activities, like here in Paris, doing the Eiffel Tower, riverboat cruise, Versailles, things like this. So there's a lot.
Rewinding, I desperately wanted to say yes to Yahoo Sports because I love working with them. So Andrew and I had the conversation, is there a world in which we could make this work? The Olympics are 2.5 weeks. It would probably be a 3-week commitment. That's way too long for me to be away from the kids and Andrew, because I'm a clinger. So I was like, okay, what would it look like for us to go? And then Andrew and I together started getting all of these opportunities for work, for promotional speeches and events and dinners and something with Angel City, like all of these things. So we said, okay, let's combine all of our work. Let's put together a schedule and let's take our kids and our family and actually make it an extended trip and do a bunch of fun things, but we can't be away from our family that long.
And we had to bring in-laws. My mother came because it is a work trip, doubled as a vacation.
Yeah.
And so Shawn and I would have to dip out for like an hour or two at a time, and Shawn would have to leave really more than I did, but then we obviously need help with the kids for when we were gone. So there was like a lot of logistics like that Shawn, to her credit, you did all the legwork.
Our team did all the legwork.
Yeah, actually,
Truly.
this was like weeks and months in the making.
Yeah.
Of coordinating the schedules. There's a bunch of deliverables, places we need to be.
Our team
whatever.
put together the most beautiful itinerary of all of these things put together. Lexi, shout out to you.
Shout out.
Day by day, it would have intertwined all of our responsibilities, activities, and commitment. So our work commitments, how to get there, the travel, how to get back, how to then take the family to the Eiffel Tower and where the tickets were. With each day, it showed like what my deliverables, our deliverables, what our work was, our contacts, everything. Because it was chaos.
Do you think that paid off, all that work?
Yeah.
I did too. It was great.
Could you imagine when we arrived here, I was like, I don't know which way the sky, like which way is up, let alone what we have going on today. There's no way we could have done it without that.
Yeah. So that's why we brought the kids, because it was such a long time. And also, I remember going to the Olympics when I was 5 years old in Atlanta. They were being hosted. And it was like a core memory. I don't know if our kids are old enough to even have memories, but for
Drew,
us...
1,000% has core memories already. She still talks about the trapezoid.
Yeah, from Memphis.
In the RV.
Yeah. But really, it is more work bringing kids. No doubt about it.
For sure.
It is. But also, we've had precious time with each of them. And I've had precious time with all of them together and then individually as well. And you can't trade that for the world, you know?
Andrew and I had this conversation after we had Bear. I found myself getting ready for the summer. The kids, Drew and Jet, were in school or, daycare, day camp, mom's day out, whatever you call it. And I was trying to figure out what our summer was going to look like. So especially in Nashville, summer camps fill up really, really fast. And so I was trying to plan out what camps they were going to do. And Andrew and I kind of sat down. We had this conversation. We're like, how about starting now at such a young age? How about we get rid of summer camps? How about we get rid of trying to find a summer nanny? How about we get rid of trying to desperately fill summertime so that we can work and our kids can have something to do? And let's make a pact that every summer we're just going to go travel. And so this was the first year.
We're trying to be intentional with building family culture. We've lightly touched on this previously. Hopefully we'll share more on this in the future because it means a lot to us and it's been fun. So we figure summer trips would be an integral part of that. And just the kids will have memories, but it really is a way for us to get to know the kids in a different way. Maybe that's selfish, maybe it's not. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this one has been a home run.
Yes. Okay, we should go through the trip now.
Okay.
So...
What? Can I set the scene of what I've learned from the Olympics from a grand scheme? Because
really?
You have all your logistics.
Okay, go.
Here's what you kind of understand on the TV when they zoom you around different parts of the city, but you don't really fully understand it until you're there. Because I've had so many of my friends text me about, oh my gosh, did you see the USA men's basketball? That was crazy. Because they just assume you're at the Olympics, you're fully immersed in watching all of the different events. That's not the case at all.
I tried to tell you about this.
I'm learning a ton. This is my first Olympics since 1996 when I was 5
And he's
years
we're
old.
going to go to all of the events. And I was like...
First of all, the tickets are usually several $100s.
Minimum.
Second of all, you maybe can go to 2 events a day. I don't know. Especially with kids, it slows you down. Our pace has been slowed down drastically with kids. But you're you have to transport yourself there, go watch, come back. It's a whole ordeal. So you kind of ultimately end up watching less of the Olympics, more specific events. Our strategy of the events that we go to has been, let's choose kind of the random ones that we'll probably never see again. So we've seen BMX, got dressage tickets. We went to, we were in the middle of the cycling course.
Yep.
We went to men's soccer. Did I say that?
No. A lot of people, I forgot about men's soccer. A lot of people think the Olympics are like the Super Bowl, where you have a stadium and you have activities around it and kind of you can go there and get the vibe. The Olympics in person, it's really hard to get the vibe because they take over an entire city or an entire country or regions to spread out so many events over the course of 3 weeks that logistically you're never seeing... How do I word this? You're never seeing the Olympics as a whole. You're seeing that venue looks
game.
like there's a game going on, and then you drive 30 minutes. You're oh wait,
there's another.
The traffic is getting crazy. There must be something else. But you don't know.
One day I think they had over 30 events in one day, and it's so
But you don't feel that in the city.
Yeah, it's hard to even describe because there's just so much going on. And it really is almost like a citywide carnival where there's just like random things that you kind of come across.
Yeah.
And then we had this revelation of all the logistics that it takes because you think about the artistic inclusion of the opening ceremonies. You have the stadium buildup of capacity for the bleachers, then the traffic control, then you have the actual apparatuses that each event use. Like, you're talking about high-level competition, so you have to build the BMX track and the ramps and all this stuff. Then you have the security side of things, which is event security. Then you have the army security of it. Then you have all the governing bodies, the housing, the food.
Delegations.
Anyway, it really is, it's cool because obviously we still don't know all the things, but, you get a little peek behind the curtain when you're actually there.
Yes.
So that's what I've been tuned into.
Does it make sense now, everything I was trying to tell you?
It's a behemoth of an event.
Andrew's, my favorite thing that you kept trying to say with credentials was oh, we'll just figure it out. I'll get in. And I was like, I don't think you understand.
It's the Super Bowl, 15 times a day for 3 weeks straight.
Yeah. No. Okay.
Carry on.
Anyways, we fly out Tuesday night, packed all the kids up. It was so cute. They arrived at the airport in their jammies, with their teeth brushed and their slippers and their blankets. I got them eye masks. We tried traveling with
you did.
the blow up beds.
We got
the seats.
Seat. We got an aisle with a bassinet on it.
Oh my gosh. The older kids did a wonderful job. They're used to flying. They slept it was almost a 9-hour flight. I think they slept probably 6 hours, 5 hours, which is pretty good. Bear was the one that we thought was going to be the easy one. He decided to cut teeth literally the night before, and he was just not in a good space. And this bassinet literally held a hand towel, and that was about it. It was a box.
This kid I think he has 4 new teeth since we left the United States. He's tried new food, real food.
He's grown probably 3 inches.
So he's going through a lot. The kid's a champ.
A lot.
And he's sick, so we'll get to that point.
But we have flown a lot with our children. A lot. We've never had a flight like this.
It was difficult. It was humbling.
We were those people that had the baby that was screaming at the top of their lungs, and there was nothing you could do to calm him down. But there was one time where I finally got him to go to sleep. And the flight attendant came over and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, I need to put a seatbelt on the baby." Dude. And I almost...
Well, okay. She's right. She's right, but there was tough timing. Tough timing.
That flight attendant has heard this baby screaming for a solid hour.
Here was the problem.
And as soon as it goes quiet, you say, now we have to put a seatbelt on?
Our problem, where we went wrong, is our expectations were that since we took a 9 p.m. flight, the kids would be tired, they'd sleep the whole thing. What ended up happening is that didn't work out at all.
No.
They kept the cabin lights on the entire flight. The kids...
They served dinner at midnight. What are you doing?
Anyway, so then we land in London.
Yeah. And
hit the ground running. Had a delightful day.
We went straight to our hotel, which was beautiful.
It was an epic hotel.
I did find this hotel because it was it was rated the most family-friendly hotel in London.
Not the type of families I'm used to hanging around.
It was a Michelin star.
Yeah, if you're royalty or the Duke of Edinburgh or whatever, maybe that's a family.
We all literally walked in. Just a disaster.
Sweaty. We got clothes hanging out. Oh, we got charged almost $10,000 for a cab. Thank goodness the cab driver.
The cab was
let us know.
I think you paid too much. But we walked into this hotel after just a long day of travel, looking rough. And I think we all we took one look at this place and we were like, oh.
Yeah.
It was so...
super fancy.
So incredibly fancy. Beautiful. Hello. So beautiful. But I was like, this is not a family vibe.
Yeah.
Not a family vibe.
But it was great.
The room was amazing.
The 2 days we had in London were magical. We went to Hyde Park, was a highlight.
Big Ben.
We did a scavenger hunt around London. It was so much fun.
Yeah. We went... What
to
else
Buckingham Palace. We did
the
London Eye. You said that. We did... what was the cathedral? I can't even remember now.
Saint something.
We slept a lot. We slept for 16 hours that first night, which is how it always kind of goes.
The kids woke up. They all woke up The first night that we went to sleep, they all woke up around 11 p.m. and they were like up. They were like, "Is it wake up time?" And we were all like, "No."
No.
But then they all went to sleep and ended up sleeping till almost 9.
Yeah.
But what else did we do? Why can't I remember?
Well, we ate a bunch. We took a bunch of cabs. We went to... I can visualize it on a map, but I can't.
Oh, we went to Hemley's Toys.
Oh, yeah.
That
feels like so long ago.
That feels like a year ago. I can't even remember.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That is like a psychological...
Interesting.
Cab.
Okay, so fast forward 2 days, evidently, because our memory is gone. We packed everything up. We had this awesome room, by the way. It was called the Landmark Hotel. It was beautiful. Would highly recommend it. Just not maybe if you have like a bunch of toddlers.
It was expensive.
Yeah.
So just that recommendation comes with that asterisk.
Okay. Anyways, we got on a train, and we took a train 2 hours?
Yeah.
4 hours?
Well, it was supposed to be 2 hours. I think it ended up being 4 because this was all a part of... this is the other interesting thing.
The trains.
If you're in the U.S. and you heard about the trains being sabotaged...
We were actually on those
the train.
trains. We had no idea, though.
It was not a big deal. This was first of all...
Not that we know of. It could have been a big deal.
I don't think anybody died. I could be wrong. I don't think anybody died.
You're saying big things.
Our train went half the speed it was supposed to.
Yeah.
And then we had to make an extra stop. That was it. Not a big deal. This is the other interesting thing, is the Olympics really are the focal point of everyone trying to make a conversation out of something. We could go on about that for a long time. It's like there's just everyone
like headlines.
Yes.
You don't know that.
What?
You don't know that there could have been like a actual security threat and they had to like slow the trains down. You don't know.
I'm
you
sure
don't
there's a
know.
ton of stuff that's going on behind the scenes.
You're jumping to wild accusations.
On the train though that people were talking about.
Yeah, but we didn't experience it.
Anyway, we got to Paris and then immediately had to split. It was Shawn and I had to go do something at the Team USA house for Xfinity.
Oh my gosh.
And then we got kicked out of the Xfinity house and then we had to get back in. That was a whole fiasco.
Wait, you
Is
can't
that even worth saying?
You can't even brush over this.
While the kids...
Hold on.
Wait, I'll just... Okay.
You're butchering this.
This is going to be an 8-hour podcast.
8 hours.
Yeah, carry on.
So we get off the train. Andrew and I had a work event that we had to go to at the Team USA house with Xfinity. So we had to put my mom, our nanny, and all the kids in a car and send them off to an Airbnb in Paris, France.
Where they met my brother and her and his husband. My brother and my sister-in-law who helped them check into the Airbnb.
Who happened to be in Europe at the same exact time.
Yes.
Which is actually wild.
Huge help they were. Shout out Grant.
So we go to the Team USA house, which is absolutely beautiful. We're doing a work event for Xfinity, which was so awesome. But we get in there, and we're still in, like, our train clothes, and we brought stuff to change into. And we're like, can we just go to the bathroom and change real quick? They're like, no problem. It's right through the store. And they just kind of point their way and turn around and go back.
Mess.
So we evidently, in
we asked the
1 second, took the wrong door, and we walked through the store, and it was elevators, and there's security guards, and we're like, toilet? And he's like, oh, yeah. And he opens the elevator, and he like keeps motioning, and we're like, okay.
Yeah, he like ushers us into the elevator, pushes the button for us, and like closes the.
And we even said it again. We're like, toilet? He's like, yeah. And so like shuts us into this elevator. We go down to the bottom floor. We come out. There's more security guards, and we're like, toilet? And so she like shows us to where to go. We get changed. We come out, go back to the elevator because we have to go back up to work. And they're like, no.
Can't go here.
They're like, you have to leave. And we're like, no.
They're like, you shouldn't be here. I was like, I don't want to be here. I want to be upstairs. Let us go.
Yeah. So,
anyway.
I don't know why that felt necessary to tell that story. We got kicked out. We were sitting on the street for like 20 minutes while Xfinity people were desperately trying to find us.
We were already late because the train was delayed.
They're like, I don't understand. Anyways, so we did our work event. We made it back to the Airbnb, which is absolutely beautiful.
Found out it was a 3-story walk up, which has not been as bad a problem as I thought it would be.
No, but it's a lot of stairs.
Getting the bags up and the stroller.
We averaged like anywhere from 13 to 18,000 steps a day here.
Yeah, Shawn unpacked, did the whole thing. We did forget the pack and play on the train.
Yeah.
So I spent the next 2 days. One day on customer service trying to get all our stuff to we wanted to watch the Olympics on TV, couldn't do it. And then I forgot the pack and play. So then I had to try to go get it. Things are closed on Sunday in Europe. So I spent a whole day wasting that. And then, what?
Nothing. Riveting storytelling, babe. I couldn't get the TV on. Okay?
No, I was just saying, the first 2 days here were like rainy and cold and not great.
It was wild. It was super cold and it was super rainy. We set up Bear's little bed, which was comical since we left his pack and play on the train. They had a crib mattress here,
Thank
like
goodness.
from a baby that has now outgrown it. And we set it up in the corner of our bedroom and stacked up all of our suitcases around it.
To keep him in, because he's crawling around everywhere. Then our second day, after our first night in Paris, we went to Disney.
Oh my gosh, we went to
raining.
Disneyland Paris.
Which is like a small version of
The
Disney
race
World.
is in 30 seconds.
Should we take a hiatus?
We have to. Where did we leave off?
Wow. Well, the race was exciting, to say the least.
Which one was it?
That was a 100-meter dash.
The women's.
Yeah.
Dude, what happened?
Yeah.
Sha'Carri.
U.S. did not win. We are back in Nashville, Tennessee. This is several days after we started this podcast.
Like 2 weeks after we started this podcast.
The lighting's a little better. The framing's a little better. The audio's a little better. But welcome back to Nashville. Where were we? Disney?
We were in Disneyland. We went to Disneyland Paris, which was amazing. So we have gone to Disneyland here in Disney World in Florida a couple times. We've had the greatest pleasure and blessing to be able to do these like VIP tours. A friend here in Florida got us hooked up with a tour and like a whole day at Disney in Paris. So it was scheduled. It was on the books. We had to do it on the 27th. And we wake up that day, meet our friends at the train station, arrive to Disneyland, and it is
pouring rain.
pouring.
Pouring rain.
And the forecast says
Rain all day.
all day.
But we had a phenomenal day. Made some
We
great
did.
memories. We went out
We
there with
did.
our friends Jeremy and Mariah and their 2 kids.
Yep.
And
We're
this
about
was
to
their
have
first
Jeremy
time.
on Second Cup, so make sure you go check out Second Cup because his story is amazing and wild.
Yeah, Jeremy Bloom is a legend. And
Legend.
If you're trying to prepare for listening to the episode, then watch the movie Molly's Game. That's about his sister, really his whole family.
Yeah.
Legends.
I've always considered him like a big brother, and he's now like a mentor to
He
us, but
changed
also
our
a
life.
friend.
He
Yes,
changed our life.
changed our lives.
So we did Disney. I will say this: we had a phenomenal job. Sorry, what? Wow, when was the last time we recorded a podcast?
I don't know.
We had a phenomenal time. I'm super thankful we were able to go out there. The kids loved it. It was our first full day in Paris, so we were like a little overwhelmed.
Yes.
And it was a little rainy, so that made things like, I don't know, with kids and strollers and ponchos and all the food and snacks that kids have, and then you add rain on that.
Do you remember
like,
trying to go
adds
through the train
logistics.
station with the strollers?
Yeah, we took a lot of metros.
I will say, I was super aggressive in scheduling our itinerary. I kept thinking like the travel day was enough downtime for us. And then I would book these full day excursions like the day after we landed. We were hitting the ground running.
We really got after
hard.
it. We did.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull up our photo album just so we can walk through this.
Disneyland. Here are my wow. Here are my thoughts about Disneyland Paris. We always said we would never be a Disney family.
Yep.
We are a Disney family. We are. I would live at Disney World. We love Disney World. But I would say if I had to rank them so far, Disney World, Florida, Disneyland, California, Disneyland, Paris, in that order.
The other fun thing, Grant and Zoe, my brother and his wife were there. She loves Disney, like grew up going twice a year. So for her to be able to experience Disneyland Paris was really special.
I will say though, like culture-wise, Disneyland was just as great, but there was a lot of smoking just because it's very like normal to the culture there, which was a little hard.
So we had a great time there. The kids were tired. We had to bounce because we had a big event. All right.
Oh my gosh.
I said this in our YouTube video when we gave the tour of our Paris chateau. I am so impressed am proud of you, Shawn, because this was our first Olympics, and the amount of invitations and opportunities and events that got thrown your way was incredible and nothing short of astounding. And so literally the Today Show went on 5 times, and the way it would work is like we have a rep, an agent pretty much that says, hey, the Today Show wants you on right now, or Alex Cooper wants you on her show, or NBC Nightly News wants you on. And this would happen like 3 times a day. No joke. And these are big opportunities. There's a lot of people that watch this. It's like an honor to be on. You want to do it well. Some people take all day to get ready, to choose their outfit, to get their hair done, to prepare for it. Shawn, one, you're so incredibly gifted with that. Just showing up and like doing what you need to do in a professional way.
Thank
and giving
you.
a good interview. But also what I was so impressed with is the amount of times you said no. The things that you said yes to, I feel like were the biggest bang for the buck.
Mm-hmm.
You turned down the Today Show several times. You turned down NBC Nightly. Like, those are big things.
Yeah.
And when you did say yes to something, you'd go away from the family for like 2 hours, do your thing, and then come back and be a mom. It wasn't all consuming. Anyway, I was just impressed by your discernment, by your ability to prioritize. And I've never felt that before the Olympics, just because it's never been as intense or focused.
It's never been magnified like that.
So,
thank you. I will say it was comical in Disneyland because the getting to Disneyland from where we were was like a solid, probably hour-and-a-half trip.
Yeah.
Total, with like the walking and the trains and the changing trains and everything. And so, long story short, we had a big event that we had to attend. We were very excited to attend this. It was with Michelle Kang.
All the big hitters in women's sports.
The First Lady randomly showed up.
Yeah.
Didn't know that was going to happen. But it was within our investment of Angel City and being a part of that club. This was like a huge, huge opportunity for women's sports and like investing in women's sports, which was really special to us. So we had to go to this event. It was very fancy. And try to picture, we have been at Disneyland Paris for probably 8 hours in the pouring rain, juggling 3 kids and strollers and rides and fried food, and we're sweating and smelly and everything. Okay, so like worst of the worst, just not looking, feeling great. By the time we got back to our apartment, I am not exaggerating, you guys.
Incredible.
We had maybe at the like very cushioned end of the spectrum, 15 minutes before we had to be in a car headed to this event.
At this fancy event that the First Lady was at, and like, you know,
it was
required
at
a certain...
Yeah, it was at a Michelin star restaurant. Was attached to it.
It was a 5-star hotel, but it was even more than that because they had.
What was in the room? Who got married in the room?
Picasso.
Picasso got married in this room. Every inch of this room was gold plated. Oh my gosh! So I don't know. We didn't shower, obviously.
It was an event. I've never done this. You show up and they give you champagne. It's like, that's fancy. I don't care. I've never been to an event like that.
I bathed in perfume, slicked my hair back with the grease on my face.
You look
and
good.
Put on some mascara. I went all French, minimalist. But
you look good.
We ended up going to this event. It was such a special event. We got to meet some really, really heavy hitters in the women's sports industry. Had a blast, ate some phenomenal food, went back to the apartment at midnight. Andrew falls asleep. I got chronic, you guys, food poisoning.
Oh, geez, yeah.
I was up all night puking my guts out.
That's such a bummer. Such a bummer.
It was so bad, but I felt better once it all came out.
Yeah, that's a good thing about food poisoning.
Next morning, mind you, was women's qualification.
Yeah, that's right. Because this is the video. So you had to show up and work with Yahoo and be fully focused.
Yeah.
So you did that. Then we met at the Eiffel Tower for the first time, which the day we went to the Eiffel Tower was magical.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
It was great.
The weather was perfect. We carried the kids up the stairs.
Hey, they climbed probably at least half. It was impressive.
We had gelato up there. That was a really, really fun day. And then the day after that, the 28th, I feel like was the first day we kind of decompressed.
Yes.
So we're like 5-6 days of just going.
Yes.
Until that point.
I'm going to pull up our itinerary.
Yeah.
By this point, though, within the trip, I will say something that we had kind of figured out was 3 days in, we had kind of gotten a rhythm with the apartment. We had found we were located by 3 different fresh markets, grocery stores.
Location. Oh my gosh.
There were these parks for the kids every 4 blocks. So we would go to different parks every day and they would play.
And every park has merry-go-rounds and carousels, and the kids love playing with the other kids. One thing we noticed with Drew and Jet was, since they didn't have their normal go-to toys in their playroom or their bikes, or really there was no ability for screen time because whatever, the VPN, and I don't know, we couldn't really watch shows like we usually do. They just kind of packed up and they were buddy. So they would be running around on the playground. They usually do that, but it was different. They were engaging more intentionally. It was really fun to watch.
I will say something else that we got to do the day after qualifications was we got to go be a part of an Angel City event. So similar to
that was the day
similar to the fancy event. It was another one affiliated with Angel City. But we got to meet Malala, which was wild.
Nobel Prize winner.
And Natalie Portman. I got to speak on a panel with Missy Franklin. It was a beautiful event.
There were a lot of people there. The guy organizing the LA 2028 Olympics, Casey Wasserman. The whole Threads team. That was really fun. Oh gosh, we had all these Viator experiences. Shawn and I love Viator. We love taking the kids on these adventures and experiences. We find them all through Viator, but we had them booked in days that we thought would make sense. We kept having to shuffle those around because it was no, we're too tired.
The boat tour day?
That was a boat tour day originally.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Yeah.
We did this boat tour down the Seine.
Highly recommend.
Yes.
That made me fall in love with Paris.
I think I would say that's my number one must do in Paris.
Yeah.
More so than going to see the Mona Lisa or going through the Louvre, or it is go on a boat tour on the Seine, because you get to see almost everything.
Yeah, all the big the Louvre, the Grand Palace, the Eiffel Tower, all the things.
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They tell you all the history. You can we found this wonderful sandwich shop where we packed up sandwiches and took them on the boat. The kids loved it. We loved it. It was peaceful. We did a sunset one, so it wasn't hot. It was incredible.
Highly recommend.
We did it twice because we liked it so much.
Yeah.
Okay, next day. So now we're talking about Tuesday, July 30th. This was a crazy day. I was on the Today Show doing the forecast for what to expect during the Team USA finals, what I saw in qualifications. Andrew packed up the boys and went with our nanny and took them to the BMX Olympic event.
It was approximately 105 degrees outside. I don't think I'm exaggerating. It was hot. Bear came, Jet came. We did not prepare as we should. We should have brought an umbrella. Didn't bring enough sunscreen. Should have brought water.
Griffin said the people at the concession stands, behind the counter, were passing out.
Literally, Griffin wanted a water, so she goes to order one, and the guy literally was going to get her water, and he just passed out.
Which is not funny, but it was so. We had every possible climate in Paris. It was cold to where we needed sweaters.
Yeah.
It was 105 to where we couldn't even walk around. It was pouring rain. There were thunderstorms. It was wild.
The thing about the BMX, why we were underprepared, is it was our first event that we went to, so we didn't know if you could bring water in. We didn't know how long the walk would be. We didn't know if you could bring
strollers or backpacks.
So we under-indexed just for safety, and
we did learn
not pay off.
Even infants need tickets to get into Olympic events, infants.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a little shocking.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you and Drew went to some fancy stores, right?
I took Drew to Dior.
What is Dior?
It's just a Chanel, Gucci.
Okay.
Nice.
Expensive.
Very.
Yeah.
But they have a cafe and a restaurant in Dior, and it's supposed to be like this whole experience. So Drew got to go in Dior, and we got lemonades and chocolate croissants, and she wanted to shop for a dress. Should I tell him this story?
Sure. Yeah,
so,
only because we didn't end up getting it.
So Drew had been begging for a dress, and I told her in Paris we could get one dress. So we go to Dior, we eat our chocolate croissants, and she's like, Mommy, I want to shop for a dress here. And in my mind, I'm like, sure, she can look, whatever. And she starts to look, and there is a kids section, and she finds a dress that she wants to try on. And I am not thinking anything of it. Literally not thinking anything of it. She puts it on. She falls in love with it, guys. In love with it. But it was too big. It was like 2 sizes too big. And I was like, baby, let's at least just ask if they have one in your size. At the same time, I decided to look at the price tag, which I should have done first. And it was $1,600.
For a 4-year-old dress. Nothing.
I about pooped my pants. But now I'm in this predicament where she's so over the top in love with it. And I literally just started praying. I was like, please, God, don't have one in her size. Because then I have to like figure this out. Then the guy comes out and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. We don't have it in your size. I'm like, oh, yes. So he pulls out this entire rack of what looks to be prom dresses. He's like, would you like to look at our princess dresses? And in my mind, I'm like, how dare you, sir? No, thank you. Looked at one price tag of that one, and it was in like the 6,500s. I was like, for a 4-year-old's dress?
No way.
So we ended up wandering around the streets of Paris looking for a kid's store. We ended up finding Zara Kids, and we got a dress there for $60, which is still expensive for a dress.
Jeez. Yeah. Thank you for making wise decisions there. That was the day Jet and I went to go see Walker Zimmerman play in South France.
How did that go, Andrew?
All right. So our buddy Walker, who I'm in a men's group, he's here in Nashville. Our kids go to school together. We're really grateful to have him and his wife, Sally, as friends. They've actually been on our interview show.
Yeah.
What am I saying? You guys probably, if you've listened to that, know them. He's playing on the Olympics. So I was like, this is the last game that for sure they were going to play.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm not going to
go to the
knockout
knockout rounds. Yeah.
It was not in Paris, though. So back to our earlier point about there being events all over the city.
It was in Marseille.
Which is like 3 hours south by train.
Yeah.
We already had one bad train experience because the power lines. But I was like, okay, we had one. What are the odds we have another? Train gets delayed an hour and a half. Jet and I.
Andrew and I make this plan where he's going to take Jet.
Have a boys trip.
Go into Marseille, find a hotel, stay overnight, and then come back on the first train.
So, first of all, Jet was I was almost brought to tears several times by how proud I was of our children and how they dealt with all this newness.
Yeah.
I don't know if they even understand the overwhelm of like
the
logistics of, hey, this is a big trip. This is a lot to be going through right now. But Jet was just my buddy, man. Like he, the train was delayed and he probably doesn't understand that, but we're just sitting there talking about what he should ride his motorcycle on. It was so fun. Anyway, we showed up to the game at halftime. We got to watch Walker play for 45 minutes, which is great. It took 4 hours down to get there to watch him play for 45 minutes. We rented this hotel. It was a Best Western, which it was not quite as fancy as the one we had dinner at, but it was awesome. They had this epic breakfast spread. Jet and I cuddled in the morning. I woke up early and I just watched them sleep because I think watching your kids sleep is a unique type of joy for me. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he wakes up and he looks at me and me, hi, Dad. Like jumps out of bed, runs. He's ready to hit it immediately. We had this beautiful breakfast. Get on the train. It's supposed to be 2 hours back to Paris because of like this high speed train. We were supposed to get back at 9 a.m. and meet you at Versailles, which I was so excited to see.
Because we had tickets to go to dressage.
And we're like 20 minutes into it and train stops. They're only giving updates in the train intercom in French. And I have no idea what's going on. I find someone who can help me translate it finally. And they're like, the train in front of us, which Jet and I almost took, apparently hit a tree that had fallen across the tracks. And so they're trying to clean it up. So we wait an hour, we wait 2 hours, we wait 3 hours to get on the intercom. Hey, we have to go back to where we started. So we go back down south And now Jet and I are stuck in the middle of this city we don't know anything about with people that don't necessarily speak English, which is my fault, with lack of supplies. I don't have any diapers. He's tired because the whole thing and hungry. They didn't have food on the train. So we had like 2 bags of popcorn for all the way till 2 p.m.
Oh, baby.
He's fussy. It's nap time now. And I'm just wandering the streets. We stopped for lunch, had a great time there.
But also by now, thousands of people have had their trains canceled.
Oh, yeah.
So they're all on the station. They're all looking for hotels.
It was a huge ordeal.
Mm-hmm.
And Jet and I shared some really special memories, and I'm so proud of him. We ultimately ended up getting a car to drive us 4.5 hours from South France back to Paris. We got back. It was 16 hours of travel. Sorry. 16 hours in that one day, 20 hours total to watch 45 minutes of soccer. Wouldn't really trade it for the world just because of the memories Jet and I got, but
I will
definitely
say,
didn't pan out like I thought.
Andrew had called me that night after he'd been stranded kind of all day trying to find, figure out how to get back. And I just felt sad because there was like a desperation in your voice of, I want to do my best for Jet because I can tell he's, struggling, and he's a 2-year-old, and he's, that was a long, long trip, and there wasn't any way to fix it. And I remember I had just told you, I was like, 2 options. I can either help fix this for you, but I don't know if you're already overwhelmed with trying to fix it on your own, or, I can just support you whenever you want. And I remember you kind of hesitated, and I was like, I'm fixing it. And so I called some friends in Paris. And I sent a driver, and I was like, pick my husband up.
Thank you for the help.
You're welcome. While you guys were doing that, though, the team final happened. I got to see the girls win gold, which was amazing.
So fun.
Which was amazing.
Congrats.
Yes. You guys ended up making it back that night. We had dinner together. It was good to be back in Paris, all as one after the...
And that was the day you all got stuck at Versailles.
Oh, gosh.
Which is a massive... Versailles is like this epic palace. And Shawn ultimately ended up getting lost in this huge grounds.
So it was me, my mom, Griffin, Drew, and Bear. And it was a very, very hot day. We went down to Versailles. It was absolutely stunning. We saw the palace, but we had tickets to dressage. So we were trying to make it to dressage on time. Basically, we had a 3-hour cushion pretty much to like get there and get in our seats. We had heard it was a really cool thing to see. And I don't even know how to explain it other than we walked for hours pushing strollers on pavement and dirt that was not made to be stroller friendly. We were trying to find, same thing, like we were trying to find food. The kids were getting hungry. We ran out of water to make bottles for Bear. Bear was going through teething and croup. It was like this whole ordeal. And I literally don't know how this happened, but we basically find the venue, which was like a couple miles away from where he got dropped off. And as we're walking, we see this whole crowd kind of start filtering out. And I stopped someone who was wearing like a USA shirt, and I was like, do you speak English? And they're like, yes. And I said, how much farther is it? Because we're like still pushing, and the kids are sweating. And they're like, oh, you're kind of close. It's like a 25-minute walk from here. And we all just almost started crying. And I said, is it over? And they're like, you have about like 20 minutes left.
Oh, brutal.
And I was like, wow.
So brutal.
Cool. And it was the last day of dressage, and I was like, nice.
And you bought tickets for it, which is an ordeal.
Which was so much money.
Yeah.
The tickets were stupid expensive.
We learned a lot.
So then we had to turn around and walk back. By the time we got back, we were just not in a good place. It was just a rough day. It was a rough day.
Okay. And then I feel like that was the conclusion of the hecticness, it felt like. Because
once team finals were done.
Yeah. Because the events I feel like the first 5-7 days of the Olympics are the most intense from an excitement standpoint. But you did CBS this morning. The next day, we went to individual all around. together. You, me, Drew, and your
and my mom, which was so special. Drew actually sat through the whole thing, which was amazing. It was just a special moment. It was really fun to watch.
Kind of full circle.
Yeah, and it was fun to watch Simone and Suni do so well. It was just a special time, special moment.
That's a cool story, how that all panned out for everybody. Yeah, things definitely slowed down at this point. I went to we did the Paris catacombs, which was really
Your
insane.
mom flew in.
Yeah, my mom
lost her bags.
Oh, jeez.
Which is a whole deal.
A whole deal. And then I ended up going. No. Montmartre was the next day, which was this epic cathedral on top of a hill in Paris. We walked around there for a while. Again, cobblestone streets. This is how I feel about strollers. They're either portable and easy to carry around, or they're able to conquer all types of terrain. And I don't think both exist.
No.
We brought one that was portable because taking it on the plane, the trains, which I'm glad we did. It made the cobblestone streets, things like Versailles, a little more difficult.
Well, we're also pushing like over 100 pounds worth of kids.
A lot of kids, not easy to steer.
No.
The next couple of days, we spent a lot of time at the parks, which was so much fun.
I will say, like, our last few days in Paris, it was more relaxing. We were watching event finals. I was just doing a couple of, like, interviews here and there for, like, the Today Show. But we spent most of the time with kids. We were going to restaurants. We were finding pizza and pastas and going to parks. And we did the river cruise again. But really just tried to, like, slow it down.
Yeah.
Also, this is the time when...
Oh, the sickness?
Yes. We had a little bit of a scare, if you saw it on social media. But Jet started getting sick first. Or Drew had, like, a cough. Whatever. Drew is my cougher. So if she gets sick, she just gets, like... She always coughs. She's just always coughing. If she has any type of sickness. Jet isn't the cougher, but he's the croup kid. He gets like the unable to breathe, stridor, sounding breathing issue. And Drew had a cough for a little bit, but didn't seem like really ill. Jet woke up in the middle of the night. I heard it immediately on the monitor and went like running to his room. It was the worst croup episode he's ever had, to where he was panicking. He couldn't get a breath when I first got to him.
I agree. That was the worst he's had. Yeah.
Because he was like so worked up. But it was the middle of the night and I literally didn't know what to do because we're in Paris. I don't know, do I take him to a hospital here? How does that work? Do I call an ambulance? It was really scary. I ended up, because of the time change, just calling our pediatrician. Thank you, Doc, for answering. Who kind of like talked me through it all. He's like, if you can get him calmed down and feeling better, like wait till the morning before you take him in. Again, make sure you call your pediatrician if this happens to you. Like, don't listen to me if your kid gets croup. But like he was talking me through everything. He was listening to him through the phone, all these things. And the next day, to basically summarize it all, I spent with Jet 10 hours of the day.
Yeah.
Bouncing around hospitals and doctors, trying to find someone who would look at Jet and give him a steroid. He needed a steroid because of his breathing and his airways. And I don't even know how to explain this, but nobody would see us. I had emergency rooms turn us down because they didn't have pediatricians there.
They said you have to make an appointment, and we don't have one open until
3 days.
Yeah.
The emergency room. I'm not even kidding you guys. The emergency room. We went so far as to, I ended up finding myself, and this was just like a desperate mama doing literally anything. I don't know how this happened, but found myself communicating with the Olympic Village doctor, who was finding someone at the Team USA house who would meet me and Jet and be able to look at him to be able to prescribe a steroid. Finally got a prescription, went to a pharmacy, and they were like, oh no, we can't fill this prescription. You have to go to a hospital. And I almost started just bawling.
Here's the thing. It was not necessarily like a dire situation.
No.
But the problem was the thought of, what if this is a dire situation and we don't know what to do?
Because, and I was spending all day that day. So if you've ever had a kid with croup, it's either dire, where you have to go to the hospital immediately, or it can be managed until you get medication. And with Jet's, his could be managed until I got the steroid. But if he had a worse night that second night, it was going to be an emergency room trip. We would have had to have gone. And the fact that I was going to these hospitals that I would have gone to in the middle of the night and I was being turned away was absolutely terrifying. It made me feel very, very helpless as a mom because I didn't know. And they even said, like, if had I called an ambulance in the middle of the night, the ambulance could have taken hours to find a hospital that actually would have admitted him, which is wild to me.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got him the medicine. He's doing great. Thank you, Dr. Waz from the Team USA house. Thank you, Team USA house, for bringing us in and taking such good care of my baby. But it was like a wild 24 hours.
You were a woman on a mission. Woman on a mission. It was
for my babies.
Yeah.
You got to.
Yep.
And then fast forward 3 days later, Bear got it.
Yeah. Gosh, there's just a bunch of interviews for you. We did the brunch with Threads, which are really fun. Threads is Facebook's text-based social media app. Is essentially a type of X or Twitter. And they had a small group of us there to help give feedback on the app, which to me was cool. And I've actually sent them several rounds of feedback, which has been fun to brainstorm just from a high level, social media, the role that it has in society, what makes a good social media app, what makes a different social media app. But I was like, it was just fun to participate in a conversation and step back and realize how much influence social media has on the world. And it's like, whatever, not to get philosophical. It's just like these people are creating the playground in which all these conversations are happening that really does, like, it's an election year. So you think about, okay, what feedback can I give to create healthy discussion in this realm? Whatever. That was a fun one for me.
Are we going to talk about Italy, or is that like a part 2?
No, I think, well, what is there to talk about Italy? We did.
I don't know. So we wrapped up Paris by just truly trying to calm it down a little bit. We didn't do as much. Your mom came in. We cooked at home. Went to a lot of parks.
We went to that one party that was for all the fashionistas in Paris. It was like the highest end, most fancy people.
The Omega party.
I was not ready for that.
I was not ready. It was not my vibe. We were so tired by the end of that. I was re-wearing clothes, and I was like, yeah, I don't know. We showed up to this party that was like the fashion world of Paris, and it was not us.
Not where I belong.
So then we pack up everything. We leave early one morning to fly from Paris directly to Naples, Italy, because I had found this beautiful kind of quaint Airbnb in south of Sorrento in this little town called Termini. And it was kind of like you could see water on every side. It had a yard. It had a pool. It was beautiful, but it was very, very remote. The flight was great.
Yeah, it was great. The kids did great.
We got there, got in. I had rented a large van. Large van for all of us.
Because we have all 7 people.
7 people, so much luggage, strollers, only to find out that they only had like a small SUV available.
Yeah.
We stuffed it to the brim, and then ended up having to take a taxi on top of it. Drove. It was about an hour and a half drive to our Airbnb.
Well, I wasn't really expecting that.
I wasn't either. It was a very long drive.
The kids weren't either, to be honest.
No, the kids were melting.
They did great on the flight, not so great in the car.
I think the one thing we have learned is it takes a solid day of travel and like getting set up, getting acquainted with like where you're staying. Even if it's like the nicest resort, you still need time to like get settled. So like the first day of any place is just kind of chaotic. We get to our Airbnb. It was a wonderful experience. We loved it. It was beautiful. There were some downsides. It was kind of infested with ants. We lost electricity for a day.
Lost water for a day.
Didn't
really have Wi-Fi.
Kept being told by people, make sure you lock your doors because people will just help themselves into your house.
Which, let me just reiterate, we had a phenomenal time as a family.
We did.
In Italy. There were some unexpecteds, though. And with kids, that's not like, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like as an individual and as a couple, we can deal with whatever. Like the train breaks down for the day, we can have an adventure. But when you have this child who can't get a bottle because there's no water, then it becomes a more severe issue, it feels like.
Yeah. It was kind of this like comical last week of travel.
The
where
doors
you're just
didn't
like,
close.
Oh, the door broke. The front door broke and wouldn't close.
Which made the ants bad.
And I'm like calling the manager and he's like, we can come tomorrow. And I was like, okay, you just told me to make sure all the doors are locked because people will come into the house. But yet in the middle of the night with 3 babies, you can't come out and fix a door.
We dealt with it all though. It was great. Good memories.
I'm not going to lie though. I kind of had the feeling this place was going to be like this when we pulled up because literally, you guys, I don't know how to explain it. It's just a vibe thing. That first day we arrived, I was like, we should move to a hotel.
Yeah, we had a.
And you don't get that feeling very often.
We had to sit down and talk about that.
We had a come to Jesus moment where we should have just gone to a hotel.
No, we shouldn't.
It was whatever.
Because the kids, it was an awesome place. It was like it was pretty much a vineyard. Yeah, it was like a farmhouse that they souped up and made a little nicer.
But we ended up going. We did a boat tour around Capri. We did a couple days in Sorrento. We did a day down in Orano. We went up to Positano. We got after it. It was amazing.
Yeah. It really was special. We had a lot of delicious food.
I will say a couple takeaways from Italy that I absolutely adored with our kids was the culture there with children.
They love kids.
Was my favorite thing I've ever experienced. They adore children.
Oh my gosh.
The amount of people who are just like, oh, so beautiful babies. And they just wanted to hold them and kiss them and like talk to them and play with them. And they wanted you to bring them every single place you went. It just is something that you don't really experience as much in the United States. I feel like in the United States, there's definitely like boundaries of like what is kid appropriate and what is not. In Italy, it was like, please include them in everything.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Which was really special. And then 2, I will never forget the first night there, we were trying to figure out what to do for food. And I went to this restaurant that was closest to the house, Tramonto Rosso. And they were closed, but there was a guy inside. And I just kind of waved at him. And it was just, it was like out of a movie. He's like, you want pasta?
It was so
and I was like, yeah. And he's like, and pizza? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I make for you. And he's like, and I was like, we were kind of talking with a language barrier, but I was explaining that I had babies, and he's like, oh, I got you.
I feel like Italians were extremely helpful and welcoming and friendly.
I left there with like 3 pizzas, pasta, dessert, wine.
So here's what I found out. Naples is south of Florence. It's south of Rome. You fly into this airport, Naples, which is like a beautiful bay. There's a couple volcanoes. That's where like Pompeii, Mount Vesuvius is. Then on the other side of this peninsula is where the Amalfi Coast is. And then Amalfi has like Positano right there. Then you have Sorrento on the other side. You have Capri Island right there. And it's this beautiful, insane coast with these beautiful houses and buildings built into the cliff. It's almost like scenery from Avatar with residential homes built into
Yeah, it's stunning.
It was really beautiful. I'll say this.
Yep.
I'm not sure it's like for young kids.
No,
you know,
it's not.
There's a lot of hills, a lot of steps. It's pretty steep.
It is in the sense of the culture.
Yes.
But it's not in the sense of like the terrain and being able to get around. Yeah.
Yeah, the traffic.
You can make it work.
The roads are really skinny. Everyone's riding these little Vespas and they're ripping by you. You're like, we almost got in 20 car accidents.
I was a designated driver and it was.
You did a great job.
Terrifying.
And I'm so glad we didn't get the van because that would have been
we would not have been able to drive.
It was a manual shift and it was way bigger and I'm glad we didn't get it.
Me too.
But we had a phenomenal time and we just got back from our 3-week trip last night.
10 hours ago.
It was a 16-hour travel day.
20-hour
travel day. I feel way better than I expected to feel.
Same. And our kids did so well.
I'm so proud of them.
I know. I do have some takeaways in the sense that, like, I feel very passionate about this. The amount of people who have said, you're such a braver woman than I am. I would never travel with my young kids like that. I couldn't imagine being on a 10-hour plane ride. I think you got to give your kids more credit.
Mm-hmm.
I think our kids do better traveling almost than they do at home. Truly.
You see different sides of them.
Yeah. Yes, it's work, but it's work at home. But to see how much they thrive in being included and doing adventures and being able to share that with them is so incredibly special.
Yeah.
And even like people have asked about Bear. Do you keep him on a schedule? How does he nap? You just kind of figure it out.
I was also really impressed with you on that issue as well, because we are really routine regimented here in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And like the kids go down no later than 7:30. Bear goes down at 7. They have their naps. They have their food. And we were kind of just going with whatever worked, whatever the day called for. It's like, all right, we go to Versailles or we go to the beach volleyball. Yep. We're going to wake them up early.
The kids slept in bunk beds for the first time.
Oh, that was so fun.
They shared a bed for the first time and they thrived. They, for the first time, would like sneak out of their beds in the middle of the night and come sleep with us.
Which I'm here for.
Which I loved. It was amazing. It was amazing.
I felt this first with Nash, actually, when we traveled with him. When you put this person who's in your care
mm-hmm.
in a new situation, like a dog or a young kid, in my experience, they really like lean into you and
mm-hmm.
look to you in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Like they depend on you and they trust you and they want to be near you, which maybe it's selfish. I don't know. Like it was just really special time to see them see our family unit together in a new situation, to see mom and dad in a new situation. One of my favorite things was to see Jet in a new situation. We had a couple like cooking classes essentially where chefs came, and it was so fun to watch him interact with these people who didn't speak English. But I was just so reminded by Jet, our 3-year-old, of how universal a smile and a wave is.
Yeah.
And it was really inspiring. I've been trying to figure out better words to say this, but bringing our kids, yes, it was more stressful, more work, more bags, more all of that.
So many bags.
Which again that's such a tangible negative, right? And people are like, oh, it's just so much more work. You have to pack all this stuff and you can't do as much. But it's also so much more special. Mm-hmm. I felt like for us to be able to include them in that, to be able to see them in a new light and to understand them differently, to see them grow up. Like Bear changed so much.
So much.
It's just awesome. I'm so thankful.
And to see different sides of them. Like one of our last nights in Italy. So coincidentally, the place we stayed in Paris had little kids. So there were so many toys. There were so many activities for them. It was very suited for them. In Italy, it was like a blank canvas. There was nothing in the Airbnb. I brought maybe 5 different little trinkets and toys and coloring books for them to do. But they were the most like at their root foundation kids in Italy.
Their imagination.
They were just running around, climbing, playing, being true kids.
Creating games.
And it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I also want to do 2 shout outs to Feeling Italy, right? Was the chef experience that we had in Italy. They were the kindest people I've ever met. Loved our children. And it was just like such a special experience. And then also, none of this is paid, by the way, Delta.
Oh, frick. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Delta Airlines. So many stories here. Long story short, my mother-in-law, his mom, lost her passport. Tragic. Very tragic. But thank you to Delta for literally holding our hands in Italy and walking us through a process and getting her home with us on time on the same plane and going above and beyond. And then on the plane ride home, so it was a 10-hour flight from Naples to JFK, absolute angels of stewardesses and flight attendants. We were like on our hands and knees crawling around with Bear and the flight attendants in the back of the plane. They were playing with the kids and laughing with the kids and truly embracing what traveling with kids was all about. And they were just angels. They were absolute angels. Our kids were amazing on the flight, but I think a lot of it had to do with because of all of them.
Yeah.
They were phenomenal. Also, our kids got very slap happy the last hour of the flight.
Oh my gosh. Dude.
Oh my gosh. They didn't cry once on the flight, but like the last hour they were slap happy.
Screaming and laughing and giggling.
Belly laughing.
It was really fun to listen to.
So loud.
Definitely loud. Man,
yes.
I feel like this podcast was really more just for us to capture these memories,
sure.
which I'm glad. We took so many pictures and videos. We shared some of them with you all. I'm excited for next year's trip.
Should we announce where we're going? Do we know that's where we're going?
No, but we have ideas that you can share.
I think we want to do Africa next year. African safari. I think the kids will be at a great age. Yeah.
Duration wise, I'm curious to finesse this with you because I feel like as soon as we left Paris, I was like, yeah, I could go home right now. And that was 6 days. We still had 6 days left.
Yeah.
And then 3 days in Italy, you said, yeah, I think we can go home right now. But there is this thing at the end of a trip, no matter how long it is, like you're just ready to go home. You could be gone for 3 months or 3 days. And if it's the last little 20% of the trip, like you're ready, to go home.
Yeah. I think it was great.
You think it was right?
I was reflecting on it on the flight home. I think it was the right amount of time. Because if we're going to be doing these trips, this was a very unique experience because we had to work so much. But there was a definite shift at one point where it was like, this is no longer, something new that we're just partaking in. It's a new home. It's a new temporary home. And we had to find a groove, and I really liked it.
Can we talk about that too? Airbnb versus hotel?
Oh, Airbnb for sure.
Why?
Airbnb for the lifestyle we're in at the moment. So with toddlers, I 100% think an Airbnb because you need the flexibility of being able to have a kitchen and listen to a monitor in a separate room and have that separation. I think when the kids get a little bit older, Drew and Jet already can share a room and do great, but Bear is still needing to be in a pack and play and kind of have his own space. I think right now being able to settle into an Airbnb in a home, and that's not luxury.
Right.
I'm not saying that for size. I'm saying it for independence value is a lot nicer than just having one room at a hotel where you have to go up and down and up and down.
Which negatively impacted our stay in the Amalfi Coast because the hotel is probably the more smooth experience.
Yeah.
But I agree, the places that you stay in Airbnbs is usually more of a residential place, which makes you feel like you live there, which is fun. Then you find your grocery store and your restaurants and you navigate however you do. But you're either buying a couple hotel rooms probably with a party of 7 or an Airbnb. It was great. I
liked the Airbnb vibe. I think my preference right now, and like I said, I think it will change probably in a few years, is doing an Airbnb that has a partnership with a hotel, which you can find very easily. There's a lot of them, but a lot of Airbnbs do a property management partnership with a hotel where you can get the
towels and bed
and the help, the concierge service of, I would like to find a restaurant but I don't know where to go, and that can be really helpful. Or you can have access to the hotel pools or whatever for kids.
Also shout out to Mama J, Griffin, everybody who helped make the trip possible. Viator, Yahoo, with our squad specifically. We did stay in smaller spaces and we were together all the time.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks is a lot of time to spend with your son-in-law, your son, the kids.
Your daughter.
It's like, yeah. And everyone did great. We got better. So there you go. There's our personal memories of the trip. I think we're going to need a couple weeks to really like step away from the situation, be able to reflect and capture it well, go through our photos and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. Cause it all happened so quickly back to back to back to back to back. It's overwhelming to try to think back on, but
I do want to say I did ask you guys for all of your questions regarding our travel. So we will do a podcast answering every single one of those. A lot of it has to do with traveling with kids and our opinions on things. But we'll do that next as well. But yeah, overall, I think it was absolutely amazing.
I can't believe that trip is done. I'm sad. I'm so glad to be home. I'm sad that like part of the fun of a trip is the anticipation for it. And we had anticipated that for over a year.
I know, but now we talked about this. We want to do this every summer, like somewhere new and somewhere big. Yeah. Not like bougie big, but like get out of our comfort zone.
New culture.
Well,
thanks for listening. That's all we have. If you haven't yet, and you made it this far, give the show a rating, subscribe to it. Really helps us out. Congrats to the giveaway winners also. And we'll see you next week. I'm Andrew.
I'm Shawn.
Peace.